Hello, welcome everybody. This is Jack Miller with T360. Welcome you back to another broker and team oriented segment that comes out of our T3 Fellows program. We've got a few folks with us today. I have, of course, Dean Cottrill, who is our SVP of Brokerage Consulting. So, hey, Dean, how are you doing? How are things for you?
Jack, everything's good, man. Life's good. This is a great topic. I love recruiting, and it's a powerful thing. It's number one on the list on growth. So I'm looking forward to the discussion.
And also, we'll welcome, we have Tom McCormack here today from Resources Real Estate. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Dean. Good to be here as always.
And Tom, where are you zooming in from?
So we are in central New Jersey, Monmouth County, which is directly south of Manhattan at the very beginning of the New Jersey coastline.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you here today. We're going to bring you into the kind of latter half of the call and hear a little bit about some of your experiences in recruiting and some of the things you've done over the last year or so. And you shared some kind of some new things this morning. So that's great. And so we'll bring you in about probably midway through the call. I'm going to get us started. We're going to take a little bit of a walk through some of the material that we work with brokers and teams that are working on recruiting in our program, the T3 Fellows program. So, we have found that many people that start recruiting don't necessarily have a system in place. That's very common. Wouldn't you found that to be true, Dean? Yeah. So
most of us transition out of sales. We're top salespeople, and you move into a brokerage chair, and you had a great listing interview, but your recruiting is a different. It's just different.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good analogy because an experienced listing agent, they know what they do, from the moment the first call comes in and how they handle everything, and you've got a process as a listing agent. As a recruiter, most people are either starting recruiting or maybe they haven't recruited in a while or they're not recruiting consistently. That's usually what's missing is that system. So we're going to just quickly take you through that today, a little overview and some segments out of that recruiting process that we take people through. And then we're going to talk to Tom, as we said earlier, about his experience in implementing some of this and working with us on building his recruiting process. So we'll start. This is a big slide that just shows you an overview. We have a 10-step recruiting process that we teach that takes people through all the steps. And that it sounds overwhelming, but the reason is it's broken down into each step so that it's you know what to do with each phase. And so we're not going to try to take you through that entire exercise. That's easily a solid hour to give you what is actually very fast through that. And when we work with clients, we typically will take them through this a couple of times, and then we'll have exercises and work that we do with them to help them work on different areas. So we're not going to go through the whole thing, but I will just quickly talk about the overview. So we talk about at the top, sourcing and prospecting. That's all kind of top of funnel, the initial call that comes in or the initial contact with the prospect. The relationship building meeting where you get to know them, following up, a needs analysis or business meeting. This is where you determine, the relationship meeting is to see, can we work together? The needs analysis meeting and business meeting is really, what are the nuts and bolts? How is this going to work as a business relationship? And then creating the offer you have for the client, presenting it to them, and closing. And that all might happen in the context of that second meeting, but we break them out into steps in the process. What you need to do if you get objections, which there are a lot of objections in recruiting that people get, and then what you do at the end, the pièce de résistance, which is the onboarding, the bringing the person in so they have a really great experience and they tell all their friends how great it was. So that's kind of a quick overview. Today, I think, Dean, we wanted to just focus kind of on the top and kind of the middle pieces here where you're working with a recruit earlier in the process. So let's go to the first part of that. I'll let you jump in here, Dean, and talk about it, and that is spinning plates. So talk to us about spinning plates.
Yeah, and we'll give you, there's a slide that we'll show you here. It'll kind of give you a nice visual of the whole recruiting process that Jack just went through. And most of us are visual learners, so it'll be something helpful. At the very top of this funnel, you'll see, and I call it spinning plates, the idea of having 5 areas that you're going to be focused in. Right there it is. So at the top, you can see the spinning plates, and then we're going to work our way through the rest of those that Jack had just shared on that previous slide. But on the spinning plate piece, the fact is, you think of it, if you're not spinning a plate on a rod, you're not focused on it, it's going to fall and break. And that's the same thing when you're prospecting for agents. And it's the same thing actually, and it runs, and it's a mirror image of what agents should be doing for prospecting for business. They should be going after 5 key areas that they're focused on all the time, and they're active and proactive on those areas. So on the recruiting front, I'll throw out 5 areas that we'll talk about in general. And one is on the far left plate. The first one's new agents. New agents that are getting into the business. It's critical to have, typically we'll see like a 70-30 split, 70 agents coming to a brokerage that are new to the business, and 30% that are experienced with some other brokerage and then move their license over. And that's a very proactive recruiting strategy, is going after both new and experienced. This first plate though is new, someone not even in a class, not in, you want to move them in. You want to find those people that are out there in your marketplace. They're thinking about getting a license. And there's several ways about going in and being proactive, but think about who's in the marketplace, who wants to get licensed, and then help them. Second plate are the people that are in class, that are currently in the class. All right. So now you're getting more of a sense of who's actually going to be really going to be licensed, who's going to get up and running. And in that second thing that are in class, the best thing I found was prep classes. Something that prepares them for the state licensing exam, because there's a state and a national portion that they'll be taking, and you want to prepare these guys. Now, especially because of COVID, we have a lot of people, everyone's taking online classes. There's no in-person classes that I'm aware of, and maybe in your jurisdiction, but if they're taking online classes, in the past, about 1/3 of people would take online and 2/3 would take in-person classes. That has changed because of COVID. Long story short, they need to prepare for the state exam and the national exam. And a prep class is excellent because it permits and allows you to pull people in that if you don't have a licensing class, or you're not affiliated or working with a third party to help create a funnel of bringing people in the licensing class, so you know who these people are, then you find out who is providing classes. And then you want to basically prospect to those people and then find out and then get them into a prep class. Also PSI, most of the jurisdictions in the country have PSI as their provider for exams. They'll issue a list once a month, and that'll show you who failed. So it gives you the pass list so you can reach out to them, but also gives you people who failed. And those are perfect people to try to move into that second area where they come to your prep class, where you run. And in prep classes, you can basically go on and on about your business, your company, and how you could help them be successful as you prepare them for that state and national. The third plate is your agents. Your agents are your best recruiters. If they're happy, they're going to be amplifying that message. If they're not happy, they won't. So that's a good indication for you to get a sense of your current operation. If agents aren't going out in the marketplace and aren't proud and putting their chest out and saying, I'm with this organization, you really want to take a good look at your company and the culture that you have and how you're supporting and recognizing agents. Those agents will help you recruit. One of the great lines I would share with you to ask your agents on a monthly basis is ask them if they couldn't list their own home for sale, couldn't have anybody else in your organization list their home for sale. Who in the marketplace would they want for them to list their own personal home for sale? Because that's the quality of agent that you want in your organization. The fourth plate is experienced agents less than a year that are just getting started. Typically they go somewhere because of whatever reason, and maybe they find out it's not all what they thought it was. And then the fifth plate is going to be experienced agents in the marketplace. The best ones are the ones that businesses are dropping off. They typically will blame the brokerage and look for an alternative, look for another organization to support them. I'd also encourage you on that fifth plate to go after your top agents in the marketplace. This, I will say real quick, as a self-assessment to you and your recruiting abilities and your organization. If you don't feel confident to go after top agents, it's probably because you don't feel that confident that your organization is the best in the market to support them and to be that successful. So that'll tie into some other things of getting your organization up to a level where you feel like it's the best place in your market for them to be. And if you feel like that, then you reach out to everybody and they're going to sense that level of confidence. And that's where you want to get in your recruiting efforts. So that's spinning plates, and that's 5 areas that I would suggest to you. Then we move into the call. So here you go from all that prospecting activity. Here comes somebody who generates or reaches out to you and says, hey, I'm thinking about getting a license, or I'm licensed, I'm in class, or whatever. When you come to the call, you have to have a dialogue. And this is what Jack talked about earlier. And we talked briefly about also, we were talking about with agents who are listing agents, you have to have a dialogue. You have to be able to be prepared to how to handle this, because you want to separate yourself. I would always say to recruiters, when that person reaches out to you, or you talk to somebody, you reach out and they actually show an interest, they crack that door open in their mind that they are willing to talk to you or meet with you. All right, great. Then you should move right into your call dialogue. And then you want to position yourself unique and different to the marketplace. Most recruiters jump quickly to say, hey, let's schedule a date and time and let's get together, or let's do it by Zoom on this date and time. And you don't want to do that, frankly, because everybody else does that. So you'll see a couple examples here of pre-qualifying questions. So thank you so much. Great. I'd like to ask you a few questions before we go and firm up a time. And then you rattle off some questions. It allows you to stop talking and then to talk. And that's a really position you want to get to, in a leveraged position while you're in negotiations when talking with somebody, but also showing value. We want to hear what their interests are. So here's some qualifying questions. And then we run right to a dialogue. Here's arranging the job interview. And that's where you go through and say, hey, I see myself differently than everybody else in the marketplace. Really, the first meeting's all about, I'm not a recruiter. I'm looking to look to find talent in the marketplace that I could be a business partner with, help them grow and reach their goals. So, but really I do this in 2 steps. Our first meeting is all about compatibility. If we don't get along, then there's no reason to talk about getting into business together. Wouldn't you agree? And you let them answer. And then you say, well, great. The first meeting is all about compatibility. And then if that goes well and we both feel like we work well together, we're going to jump into a second meeting. And that second meeting is where we're going to dive into what you want to achieve. What are your business goals? And then we're going to basically show you how you can achieve those goals and how we're going to support you in that effort. And then you go to a date and time and confirm. And you want to direct them to your website or someplace that you have that they can gather information about your operation, your support mechanisms, what you do to help agents be successful. So if you don't have something like that, that's something we would suggest you get something like that in place, because that's going to give you some hot spots. When they come to you in that first meeting, you're going to start off by talking about that. And I'll get to that in just 2 seconds. So from the call, then we go to the first interview, right? So the first interview, and I call the first face-to-face. That's why it says F2F, first face-to-face. And here's the dialogue. Warm welcome. You have a whole setup in the operation. Basically, it's a performance. You have to look at it that way. So when COVID's behind us and people are coming to meet you in person, you're going to have one setup. You're going to have whoever's at the front stand up, greet them, or whatever works for whatever your setup is in your operation. Everyone's different. Everybody has a different model. But what you want to do is you want to show this person that you're unique, you're different, and that it's a warm and friendly place that they're thinking about coming to work at. Because that's one thing you have to realize, put yourself in their shoes. They're doing something that's uncomfortable. They're thinking about making a change from one brokerage to another, or they're thinking about getting into a whole nother profession as a new agent. And you want to make sure you can bring that level of anxiety down, make them feel comfortable. And then you go through a whole process of finding out who they are, what their wants and needs are, and then discovering and then talking about your value proposition, what you do to support agents. One of the critical pieces in this, 2 things. Number 1 is ask them about their expectations of the meeting at the very beginning. So as you start off, warm and fuzzies, things like that, share with me, what are your expectations? What do you see as an ideal outcome for our meeting? And most people are going to be like, oh, I just want to get to know you. Like you said, find out compatibility. Great. Because if you had any other expectations or anything else that you want to hear, I want to make sure I was going to cover that. If they throw out, hey, I want to hear about commission. What are you going to pay me? I understand commissions are extremely important. I get it. You're here to make money because you have a why. You have something that money's going to help you do in life. And we're going to get that. But frankly, if we're not compatible, if we're not going to work well together, it doesn't make a difference what the commission percentage is. So we're going to get that. We're going to get that in the second meeting. First, today is all about compatibility. Does that work for you? If they say yes, great. If they say no, frankly, for me, in my position, I would say, well, there's the door. And then that's why you just go off to the next person. Okay. So that's the relationship building interview track. And part of this process too, as you go to the expectation question is you never, and this is the second item, you never want to come across like you want them. You want to position yourself through your dialogue that you're in a good place. You've got a great thing to offer and you're not begging them to come. You're basically saying, are you compatible? Will they fit? Are they going to work? So you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. And that's what, this is a 2-way street, I used to say. So you know what, you're interviewing me, but I'm also interviewing you because I want to make sure this is going to be a good fit and that we're compatible and we're going to work well together. So you want to come across like that. and through the interview. And at the very end of this, you ask them, before you even say whether you're compatible with them or they're compatible with you, the way you end this first meeting is say, share with me, how do you feel about compatibility, about working together, and what would you like to do next? And let them answer that question. You sit still, position yourself there, and let them, and most of them will say, you know, I feel great, I'd like to meet with you, I want to keep this process going. And that'll bring us to our second face-to-face meeting. And that typically, now let me say a quick asterisk here. You don't have to go to your second face-to-face meeting. If this person's a rock star and you had a really good compatibility meeting, sign them up, all right? You don't need to go to the second meeting. If you have someone who's interviewing multiple players, multiple companies, they're kind of, you know, checking everybody out, then you want to go to that second meeting. You want to get into the value proposition even deeper about, all right, what are your business goals? And then you go ahead and we have a whole interview track here, the ideas, and same kind of setup. Again, there's anxiety with change. You want to make sure they feel comfortable. You review what you guys have already talked about, how you were compatible. You then talk about today's meeting. You ask them what their goals are. If they're new to the business, I want to generate $100,000 in income. Well, you know, there are agents new to the business that do generate 100,000. So you never want to say, oh, you can't do that, or the chance of you doing that is small. You never want to say that, because they want to go to a place that someone's going to help them achieve that. But if your average commission in your market is $5,000 for an agent at your current starting commission, you know, so they need 20 transactions. So in our market, our average sales price is this. You're going to make that from it as you start with us. That's going to be 20 transactions. That's that get into spinning plates. Let's talk about where money is made, how you do that, and how we support those efforts in those 5 key areas. SOY, primary markets, things like that, all right? And that's the second interview. And you can see we have it all laid out, and it's really detailed as you take someone through it. But I'm just kind of giving you an overview as we're trying to do in this.
There's some great questions to ask in both the first and the second interview, and that's something we give. A lot of times people don't know what to talk about.
Yep.
You know, and we always provide clients with, here's a list of topics that are good for experienced or new people, so that you have plenty of material so that you get to know them better. It makes you look good. You talk a little and they talk a lot, and you learn a lot when they do that, and you're going to be better prepared to close them. So
yeah, great point. We give you a list of probably 30 or 40 questions. You only want to pick 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you don't want to drill them, but that's a great point, Jack. Thanks for adding that.
Yeah, and then this is, we use one other worksheet that we provide, which people are welcome to use, or if they have their own method. But what I did as a recruiter, I know Dean did too, is we take a lot of notes. This is a structured form that you can fill out and say, this is about this person, something memorable about them. What are they motivated by? What's their past experience? What kind of resources do they have? And then what are their challenges, and how do you think that your company can help them with their challenges? That'll help you in closing, because if you say, hey, you know, your top challenge, I listen, was staying in touch with your sphere and network. Well, we have a really great program for that. And it's one of the key things we do in our company is we have materials and we help you stay in touch with your network, and we do all the heavy lifting for you. That's how you can close very strongly when you relate it back to what you listen as being a challenge for that agent or an opportunity for them to grow and develop their business. So great. So
and you bring them on, and just for time purposes, you affiliate and then do an onboarding process. These are critical pieces, but just for time, we're going to go ahead and
we won't go into those. We have a really great narrative about the onboarding process and how to create a great experience there. That's, I will emphasize, super important. You have sold them, they want to join, now they need to have a great experience, and so put some effort into that. So now we're gonna switch gears here, Dean. I do want to let people know we are going to send you some materials after this call. We'll send you a video and some of the materials from this module. We're also going to send you our what if spreadsheet. This is a great way to evaluate your business and what it could be like if you made a few key changes in it. And the change we're really talking about today in the context of this spreadsheet is increasing your agent count, is adding agents. And so this worksheet will help you look at your current organization. You can put in your numbers, and then to look at different scenarios. And there's other scenarios as well. Today we've been focused on adding agents, but if you add more units, if you help your agents sell more homes, if you increase your price point, if you're in a model where that impacts your take, right? If you increase your monthly fees, if you increase your transaction fee. So you've got ways to look at where you can make changes to your organization, potentially increase the owner profit and net out of that. So we're going to send that as a bonus for today. It's a really good kind of thinking and planning tool, and it forms a foundation for some of the business planning work that we do with brokers and teams that are looking to grow. So on that note, we'll move to our final segment. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking to one of our clients. And so I'm going to bring back on Tom McCormack. So Tom, really delighted to have you here again today. Want to make sure you unmute yourself, because that's the easy thing to do, is mute yourself and forget you're on mute. So welcome, Tom. We're delighted to have you here. Thanks.
Good to be here, Jack.
Great. So I wanted to kick this off. So you've been through this process with us over the last 10 or 11 months, and have worked on your business. And I know, you had shared some things that you had done to your business to help in recruiting, but also help in other areas. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about what are some of the changes you've made, and what's working for you, and what do you think other brokers or team leaders could learn from your experience?
Well, so just as a little background, we are an independent company of 3 offices. We have about 85 agents between the 3 of them. Located all relatively close to each other. I think part of our process was to identify what our real strong suits were. When it came to understanding the competitive analysis of, what we brought to the table versus our immediate competition. And one of the things that we have always stood firmly on is a belief that training is critical, especially for new licensees, but really for experienced agents as well. So we have a really comprehensive training program, and we are always championing and cheerleading the fact that we really place this emphasis on training, so that our agents are aware that they actually do know more than the average agent out there. And that has helped us, because we changed focus, while I was part of T3. One of the things that we realized was we have the infrastructure. We already had an onboarding system in place. We had a new agent training in place. We were already equipped to go that route, and we kind of looked at new licensees like shooting fish in a barrel, like, oh, those are easy. We need to go after like the heavy hitters in our marketplace. And then we realized, when we focused on the new licensees in the past, yes, it was a longer recoupment time, but we saw major sales gains 18 months, 24 months down the line. So we kind of refocused. We had just recently started a real estate school, which in New Jersey, up until COVID, you had to have in-person live classroom training, 75 hours. We were trying to grow it, but it was a really slow climb. We were averaging 3 to 5 students per class. And, a lot of times it was a loss leader. We were okay with that. We were recruiting from that, but it was when COVID hit and we were able to do online training that it just blew up. So we went from averaging 3 to 5 students per class to now we're averaging anywhere between 25 to 35 students per class. We're running them every 2 weeks. We have, thankfully, our instructor was available. God bless him. He's 85 years old. He's been doing this for 40 years. He really knows his stuff, and he's doing full-time classes for us. In addition, we're doing an evening class, which is 2 nights per week. And the good part is that the instructors are able to identify who they think would be a good fit for us. So they're kind of doing a little bit of vetting for us from the get-go. And that's been great. We've had a really good success rate. We've identified some really strong agents who out of the gate are doing business. One of our agents in her first year, she did $4 million in production, and she had a full-time job. Wow. So yeah, it's been definitely a good experience. In addition to the class, we have we'll have a stop by. So during the class itself, you're not allowed to really solicit or recruit, but we just stop by. When it was in person, we'd have pizza. Now we don't. We just say, you know, a day in the life of a real estate agent, you know, what's it like? Do you have any questions? And so it kind of comes under the heading of training. We also, not so much now, but previously to COVID, we were going to job fairs at one of the other local schools with other managers and brokers who would pitch, and we'd identify people through that. And now part of our issue in New Jersey with PSI, Dean had mentioned, PSI provides the testing centers. They had to decrease their capacity by 50%. So they're really, really backed up. So one of the things that we've offered is a review class, so that people who went through the 75-hour class, but you know, had to wait 2 months before the state exam, would come back, and I'm able to go there and I can talk directly, you know, to what our point of difference is. And we've also been doing, we had been doing career webinars, and I've just increased that now. I'm doing it every 2 weeks, 45 minutes to an hour in the evening, getting people to pre-register, fill out a form so we get a little bit of information on them. That's been good. One of the things that I learned from you, Jack, which is when in the alums group a few weeks back, was a recruiting company that pursues people who are just in the very early stages of thinking about making a move. And it's been good because one of the other ideas that I had picked up from you guys was, from the alumni group, was placing ads on Indeed. So I copied Brad's ad almost verbatim. And I literally immediately was getting, you know, 5 leads a day just from this ad on LinkedIn. I'm not LinkedIn, Indeed. And so then I thought, oh, this really works. I went onto Glassdoor and I went into LinkedIn and I forget where else. And I started looking at what all of these things would cost, because some of them are actually pretty hefty. And so Third Pool Recruiting, for what they're charging, it's almost a wash. And they do the initial vetting, they're doing questionnaires. So we've already gotten about 13 respondents from that. I've already interviewed several of them. And it's great too, because of the school, I have a natural place to send all of these leads, because most of them don't have their license yet. And so the increase in admissions, because they can literally be anywhere in the state and actually we've had students from out of state in the pre-licensing. So I'm basically paying for this recruiting service through the admissions to the school. So it's been a win-win-win. It's really been great.
You're making money on it now, huh?
Yeah, truly. I truly am. And I never thought I'd see the day, but it's a good thing.
So you actually monetized your funnel, which is really interesting that you can do that. And yeah, that's awesome. And it sounds like you've got, like, this has been building a system for you where now you're now trying out different things at the top of the funnel to bring people in, and you have offers for them. So that's really powerful.
Yeah, we're still trying to work out like exactly the process and protocols and who's doing what, because I don't want to have to talk to every single, you know, person who's thinking about getting their license. But with the webinars being regularly scheduled, my assistant is just saying, oh, here's the registration for the next webinar. It's next week. So it's really a good fit. If somebody has already, like one of the first leads that they sent me, she had just finished her class and was signed up for the state exam, which she took on Friday. I said, well, I'm not waiting for the webinar with her, you know, and I did an interview with her online. And one
suggesting that, Tom, is to everyone else too, because career nights, everyone virtual, everyone's at home, COVID with all this challenges. I encourage you to think about maybe going Tuesday, Thursday, and then a Wednesday after like a 6 evening, and then have a 2 during the day or 1 during the day during the week, and just mark it off in your calendar and have your assistant or have you just put people in those buckets. And when they reach out to you, say, this, you could be one-on-one with me, or it could be a group on this call talking about a career in real estate. And that way you have that time set aside. So instead of it once every 2 weeks, you might lose somebody if it's that infrequent, although that is much more frequent than most people do it. But if you do like 1-2 days a week, where you just bucket 45 minutes during a daytime and 45 minutes like at 6 o'clock, and then just throw people in the bucket, it's much more efficient.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
It's awesome. Well, Tom, you've had, thank you so much for sharing your experience and some of the things that you've been building in your business. And you gave a little bit of a shout out to the alumni group. That's people that complete the fellows program go into that group. Just to take us on out, I'd love to hear what would be, if you had a broker on this call or team leaders on this call who's on the fence about doing the fellows program, what would you tell them? How, is it a go? Is it, proceed with caution? How should they think about it?
Well, avoid Dean at all costs.
He's a troublemaker.
He is. No, my experience was very positive. One of the things that I was truly looking for when I first started talking to you guys was, as an independent broker, my partner, who's now deceased, when we used to talk about it, it's like, nobody teaches you how to run a brokerage, right? Well, apparently you do. And that to me was like what we were looking for a long time, like somebody who we could turn to and say, okay, what's your perspective? I mean, I love the fact that you all have such a breadth of experience in terms of different types of brokerage, different sizes, traditional, all across the board. And to have somebody who understands that is really a great benefit. Because I got my license in 2002. I have only worked for the company that I now own. Like, I've never worked anywhere else. So what I've learned is from talking with you guys and talking with people that I've tried to recruit from other companies.
Yeah, that's great. Well, really, thank you for sharing that. As we wrap up, I'm just going to share a little bit of information about the program. We've got some regulars here, and I see some interaction in the chat. So thank you guys for showing up and asking questions. I think Dean and I will try to stay on here at the end to answer a few if we can. If you are interested in the T3 Fellows program, we are putting another class together for this fall. We're taking applications now. It's a 1-year program, it's 12 months of curriculum. We do one-on-one consulting with you as part of the program. So we'll help you go through the program material to do a whole lot of different things with your business, but then we provide that one-on-one support to help you get it done. Once COVID is over, we will be able to do our in-person retreats. We've now moved them to virtual and have actually had really good experiences with those. We've broken them up so they're not just super, super long days on Zoom, that they're about what we think people can handle. And actually, we've gotten very good feedback from that. So, and then the other piece is we built a community here. We have a great alumni group for people that go through the program. And then when you're in the program itself, you're going to have a peer group to work with. And like Tom was saying, a lot of the ideas that are generated come from, the collaboration and discussions with other brokers that are we were all trying to make money. We're all trying to recruit agents, but learning from others that are also in the same process of you is very powerful. So if you want more information on that, go to t3fellows.com. We do have some requirements. We're looking for people that have at least some staff in place. It's not just you as a solo running your business. You need to have a little bit of staff. You need to be committed to growth. We don't take everybody in this program. It's an application-only program. And we're really looking for brokers or teams that have stable sales and revenue. If you need sales coaching or sales consulting, we have some great companies we've done work with before to help you with that. This is really about all the other aspects of your business: recruiting, brand, positioning, PR, marketing, kind of all the other stuff that you need, technology, all that other stuff you need to think about. If you got sales is in place and you've got a solid base there, that's great. Then this is how to look at growing your business. So we do have an application. Go online to t3fellows.com. You can click on the apply button, fill out the application, or go to t3fellows.com, apply. We'll give you great feedback on your application and tell you, whether or not we think our program can help you. We don't take everybody. We're looking for a committed group that wants to do this. We're graduating our 8th class right now.
Yeah,
Is it
9 kids, and we're launching our 10th next month.
Yeah.
We've got a good group of brokers and teams already signed up, so love to get more on. Again, like Jack said, geographic exclusive, so it's hopefully you don't have anybody in your marketplace that's already in the program, but reach out.
Yeah, well, if you apply, you're in that territory, then we won't take anybody else from your territory. So that's so you can have those open conversations in a mastermind, which we do. So again, Tom, thank you so much for spending some time with us and sharing. Dean, I don't know, we saw some
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Appreciate it, man. Say hi to Bruce for me.
I know you had
thank you guys.
today, so thank you so much. Dean, you want to take a minute and do some Q&A here? We've got a few people
Yeah,
in the chat.
go ahead and answer the questions that came in, definitely.
I just wanted to respect our guest time because I know everybody's got a lot going on. So we did have a few questions. One of them is
from Byron. So will these scripts be available after this call? They will not be available. We kind of gave you an overview of the actual dialogue and the framework, but the actual scripts and dialogues and everything that we work through, that's something that comes with the program.
Yeah, we provide, it's a whole system. And unfortunately, it's not something that we can easily just take something out of and give you one part of it, because it's an entire, like there's a full module in a program. So it would be like taking a handful of Lego pieces out of the box. You need to have the whole piece, all of them, to make it work together. So that's why we don't part that piece out. But we will be sending you the what if spreadsheet for planning and thinking about your business, and a recording of today's call, which we're happy to supply. And we know that this gets a lot of replays and is useful there. So, and then we had a question about from Judy about how to get contact info for students if schools are not providing the names of the students. I don't know, Dean, if you face that challenge. I've got some thinking about it separately.
Yeah, there's those that you don't have schools. I mean, that's something that we've worked with different brokers that don't have any schools. There are some like Tom who put a school in place. I get it. There are third-party schools in marketplaces that are not real estate companies that are. So I would encourage you to reach out to them, get to know the owner of that organization, and that's where you can get an in. We have several clients that have done that, and then they're able to come in. And like Tom was saying, he does drop-ins now virtually. That's what our other clients will do. They create a relationship, and at breaks and at lunch, that's when they were able to pop by or drop in. So that's one way that you can go about getting schools that are not that are out there in your marketplace. The other ones, that's the one way. The other ones, a lot of real estate, probably bigger companies in your marketplace have their own schools. So again, that's the challenge. That's where that review, as Tom said, he calls it a review class, a review course, and I call it a prep class. That was my second spinning plate. That's where you can get people that are going to other schools to come in and you can get in front of them. So I encourage you to run that as another spinning plate.
Yeah, and I think the bigger picture here is you need to have a way to get in contact if you're going to focus on the new agents and new licensees or people considering it. You need to have some touch points there, and having relationships with schools is one way to get it. But there are other ways that you could do as well, including running your own. You can run your own classes or your own prep. You can get a relationship with an online school. You can even, in some places, you can become a reseller of an online course, and then they come to your school, and then you can have your own. We have some of our broker clients that are doing that now, where they've just signed up to become an affiliate of an online school, and then they're able to monetize it that way, and also get the names of all the students that come through your marketing efforts. But you need to have something in your funnel to reach those potential agents or new agents. And then Joseph asked about, whether or not, a lot of questions, is the training mostly online? How much should he allocate for training? And if he's really small, what should you start? A few different questions there, so I'll try to approach them. I think right now, everybody's moved to online training. So I think however you're doing training, you're probably going to need to have online components, because we just can't get, a lot of places you can't get together. And it's also something people, I think, are becoming used to. Like, we have more and more people are used to doing more over Zoom or more over web meetings. So I think that's a good way to do it.
He also might be positioned, that question, Jack, is our fellows program online?
That could be. Yeah. So ours is delivered via Zoom this way, but also we do it group and one-on-one formats. So we do both. And the retreats we do in person when we're allowed to again. Both of the places we would like to hold retreats, currently we can't. Like, physically, the facilities are not able to do it. And as soon as they are, and as soon as we believe that it's safe for everybody to travel, we will do that again. But
we also provide we also provide a monthly mastermind that all of our clients are on, where we mastermind key topics and running an operation, whether it's a large team or a brokerage.
Yep, correct. And then he was asking also how much money to allocate for the training. So if you're going through our program, this is a $25,000 annual program. It's paid monthly. There's a $1,000 sign up. It's $2,000 a month to go through the program with us. There is an out clause if it's not working. We rarely use it. We've used it on our side actually more than the students have, where we said, hey, we don't think this program is working for you. And so there is, if it's not working out, it is a program that is paid monthly. So if it's not working, we don't want to hold you prisoner. It doesn't make sense. We want people that are in the program to be successful. So, but it's a $25,000 annual commitment to work with us in that program. And you get the full support of the entire T360 team. We have 10 consultants that do all kinds of work with people in the industry. So Dean and I work with people in this program a lot, but we also will bring in our merger acquisition specialists, our technology specialists, or people that do work in different areas. So a lot of that.
And a key point on that too is it's paid monthly, so it's not one lump sum.
Yeah, you're not writing a big check up front. It's paid month at a time. Yeah, no, it's very good. And then the last question he asked, can I grow my company if I'm only starting with 4 agents and all my competitors are large agencies? Now, Dean, you and I have worked with some companies that are very small that are now much bigger, right? So we have companies that, like, we've taken them from a 4 or 5 person team all the way up to like a 50-person company. And then one of them I'm thinking of in particular, she then sold her company. This is a person that we worked with over many years, sold her company, is now part of a much bigger firm and has a management role there. So we're seeing, so we work across the life cycle companies. I'd say when in doubt, fill out the application. Let us talk to you. If we think that it's not the right program or not the right timing, we'll tell you. We have a lot of people that apply and that aren't ready right then. And we tell them, hey, here's things to work on, and then we'll have you as part of the next class once we think that you're ready for the class. We don't want anybody to do anything where they're not going to get the benefit of the program. That's the point, is to get the benefit of the program. So
also too, Joseph, we'll find out, one of the things that Jack and I do in the beginning of the program is each person who's in the program has different goals of where they want to go. And so for you might, if you want to be a large agency or compete with the large ones, or if you want to be, it depends on what your goals are. And then that you can achieve 7-figure bottom line revenue or profits and not have to be a large agency. So it really depends on what your ultimate goal is.
100%. I mean, we've had some companies that have started small and have explicitly decided we're not going to grow into a big thing, but they've set profit targets and goals in a way that they operate, and they're running great businesses today. And so it's more about what you want out of that process and what kind of business you want to run. And just because there's big companies in your market does not mean you can't have your own competitive advantage and have agents that are really loyal and want to work for you, because it's about your value proposition, what you do for them. And and again, all shapes and sizes. This program we've had, small firms go through. We've had very large firms. We've had firms with, 15 offices and 30 staff and 800 agents. We had a very large firm come through, a couple of years ago. We had some big firms do this program, but you don't have to be big. You can be, and that's candidly where I came from, was a team that turned into a brokerage. And so I have a lot of affinity for that, the little guy or gal that's building something. That's exciting because you can really make a big impact.
Yeah, and 2 things we're really proud of too. We've had 2 of our clients move into the Mega 1000. So they've just moved as of this year on the Mega 1000, which is the top ranking. Which we do rank of the top 1,000 brokerages in the country.
Yeah, it's the biggest 1,000 brokerages to have some small firms that have broken through into that. It's very, very exciting. Very exciting.
By units and by volume too. It's not headcount. It's units and volume.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Joseph, thanks for those questions. They're great. Thanks to everybody that stayed on and engaged and has gotten some value out of today. We're going to continue doing these calls. I think we've got another one planned for a few weeks from now. Our enrollment is when, Dean? We're enrolling people through September. We're rolling right now through September. Now.
The applications, I've had a number of calls. I've got another applications that have come in. So I'm actually taking calls now. When you do the application, it comes to me. I respond to you. And I give you my calendar link. You plug in a calendar. We typically mark off 45 minutes so I can talk and answer any questions that you have. and go through the program in more in detail if that's something you'd like for me to do. And then if it firms up, then we don't have anybody currently in your marketplace, then we firm it up with an agreement and get you signed up. So got a great class forming. Love to have others in. So reach out, fill out the application. I go through, when I spend that 45 minutes with you, we talk about your operation. We talk about, so whether you go in the program or not, you're going to get something out of the call.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we live to help other people run their businesses more effectively. So if you send us some information, we're going to help you grow, even if it's like, okay, it's not the program today, but Dean and I and our whole team, we've got a lot of proven track record in helping business owners become successful. We're going to give you some good advice. You'll come away from that conversation more empowered one way or the other. And if you're a right fit for the program, then great, we'll get you started. So again, thanks everybody for coming today. Love that we had a solid, everybody's still here. Everybody stayed through the whole time. So delighted to have a few usual suspects here. It's good to see everybody that's been on these before. And we will talk to you again on our next call in a few weeks, and look forward to seeing some applications come in. And Dean, thanks as always. You did a great job today.
Thanks, Jack. Great job, guys.
Yeah.
See you, everybody. Take care.
Bye.